Fists together, I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Red and yellow, brown, black, and white. We're all precious in God's sight. Everybody is somebody. Stop the violence. Save the children. Stop bullying. Save the children.
Hold your head high. Stick your chest out. You can make it. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
The push is on. Good morning, and thank you for tuning into this edition of the Saturday Morning Forum. I'm Tim Lee, the coordinator of children's programming for Push Excel, and I'm honored to be serving with you in this capacity. Listen, we want to thank all of our viewers on all of our platforms. If you're watching from Impact TV, if you are watching from Facebook, if you're watching from YouTube, thank you. Listen, to all of our viewers at Impact TV, you are able to DVR. You can record us so that you can watch the content later or share it with a friend. And if you're watching from our social media platforms, please press the like button right now, share the content, and make sure you subscribe. If you want to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition, you can do that by going to www.rainbowpush.org. Or you can text the word push to 41444. And if you text the word push to 41444, you can even leave a donation to help sustain the work that we are doing. Today's broadcast is dedicated to Jackie Robinson. We all know that Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball, and he did so on April the 15th, 1947. Did you know that Reverend Jackson knew Jackie Robinson and that he had a close relationship with Jackie Robinson? Did you know that Jackie Robinson was one of the founding board members of Operation Push? Reverend Jackson spoke about the relationship and the challenges that Jackie Robinson had to face as a person who broke the color barrier. And you can check out the conversation called Jackie to Me on ESPN. We're also commemorating the life of Harold Washington, who would have been 100 years old on April the 15th. We all know that Harold Washington was the first African-American mayor of Chicago, and he made many contributions in politics for African-Americans nationwide. We had some people, including Reverend Jackson, sit down and talk about the life, the achievement, the struggles of Harold Washington, and we want you to take a look at that right now.
We were the hog butchers. We built the city on our shoulders. We made the river run backwards. We stayed in people's backyards because of restrictive covenants. We paid our taxes and couldn't get represented. And yet we would not bow. We did not get weary. And in your own time, you raised up a man with the integrity, the intelligence, the involvement, the drive. Ladies and gentlemen, the next mayor of the city of Chicago, Mayor Harold Washington. We want back.
Appears by the almost complete returns, it appears that I have been nominated by the Democratic voters.
People who had been oppressed for a long time finally saw in him their hopes and their dreams, and they realized them. And Harold kind of hit the bell at the right time, and it rang. He pulled us together, made us a better city. Out of that came my campaign in 84 and 88, and Carol Mulder-Braun in 1990 at the Senate, Barack in 04 and 08. I mean, we just kept on flowing, but we flow from Harold Washington's stream, really.
The most important thing, I think, is to remember that Harold was committed to an open, responsive government. And that can never be changed. He instituted that when he was alive, and he made certain that all who followed him were committed to that same concept. Yes, we met him, and if you say to me that he's been gone 35 years and we're celebrating his 100th birthday today, I say it's almost like we saw him yesterday, because his lessons are still with us, to not shrink under the pressure, to stand tall in spite of whatever we face. And I think those lessons are well learned, and we will never forget that. We miss him. We know if he walked through this door, we could say, hey, Harold, they got some cake here for you. It's Chinta right there. She's ready to dance with you. And you know good and well he'd have a good time here. He wouldn't be up on that stage. He'd be down here with the people having a great time. That's what I remember about the guy. I think about one aspect of him every day, one way or another. And I think the city will never forget Harold Washington. He's the first African-American mayor the city has ever known, but he's the best mayor the city has ever known.
We were working with Harold starting in 1971 and 72, when we really started learning about how to do voter registration. And we worked very hard on voter registration until we finally set up Power in 1982 with a coalition around the city, and we registered 45,000 people to vote in 3 weeks. And that set a spark that really got the biggest voter registration in the history of this city, And so that was good to work with Harold on that, but we worked with Harold on just a lot of issues. He brought out the best in us. He showed us how to win on issues. We knew how to fight on issues and been fighting for a long time, but he showed us how to win on a whole bunch of them. We miss him.
Harold had a major impact, not only on the city. Harold had an impact when he was in Springfield on the state of Illinois as a state representative, state senator. Now, I met Harold when I was out a young independent in the 60s. Harold came to my house on a Monday before he was going to announce a mayor on Wednesday. Met me at 4 o'clock. And my chief of staff, Ron Greer, and I met with Harold. And his statement to me as we chatted a little bit was, he says, Roland, I don't want to run for mayor. I enjoy Congress. Congress is a good place to be. I want you to run for mayor. I looked at Harold and said, you're crazy. I'm not going to do that. I said, man, you got all this energy out here. These people will lynch you, Harold. And so we talked for about an hour. And we finally made a deal that if he could not come through with it, then he would try to put my name up with the group to do it. Otherwise, I wasn't going to get out there. And sure enough, Harold announced on that Wednesday. On Thursday, they attacked him in the press like all get out.
I originally met Harold Washington when I was a kid. He was part of Ralph Metcalf's organization, and Ralph would come to the church, and after church, a lot of the organizational people would join up, and Harold was one of those people. And after church, we'd go to the Parkway Ballroom. When I got to be an adult, I got involved with Harold when he was running for Senate. A friend of mine who was working for Harold asked me to come in because they needed help making sure that he could win, because they were against James Bulljive Taylor in the 16th Ward. And so I ran that campaign. We got him elected, and I ran every campaign after that.
Then a lunchtime rally at Luke College. Among other speakers, the Reverend Jesse Jackson.
If they win in 86 in Springfield, they want Chicago in 87.
He was referring, of course, to Harold Washington's re-election campaign, which is now just weeks away. Like a boxer getting in shape for a title defense, Washington is working college campus and L-Stop alike this afternoon, last-minute campaigning for one race, a head start on another.
During the 4+ years of Harold's tenure, the people of Chicago got to see what a vision could do for Chicago. Chicago became known as one of the most important cities in the country because of Harold's leadership, embracing fairness and embracing equity and empowering people who had historically been left out of government, voiceless and without power. That is what I remember Harold Washington. That is the legacy that we commemorate on his 100th birthday.
later, I will be back with Due Process. This week, I will update you on recent stories about the town of Mason, Tennessee, and discuss the ongoing fight to protect the viability and sustainability of Black farmers. Stay tuned for Due Process.
I want to thank you for watching us each and every week, and I know that we try to give you so much information, so much content. It can be confusing sometimes. Today, we try to give you a bit of history as we look at the context of our struggle from our sports initiative, which really started with Jackie Robinson, and you've heard a little bit about him and his entry into Major League Baseball. We focused on breaking color barriers in sports, and as you approach this upcoming convention, we're going to talk about new markets in sports. We're going to look at economic opportunities for African Americans in particular in the sports industry. We've been on the playing field now for several decades. The question is, are we behind the scenes producing the games? Are we behind the scenes cleaning the uniforms? Are we behind the scenes managing the stadiums? Are we behind the scenes providing food for the various concession stands? Are we in the business end of sports? Where are we on life beyond the playing field? We're going to kick off our sports New Markets initiative. You want to be there if you're interested in being a supplier, a lawyer, an accountant, security. If you want to provide cars for the athletes or for the game day. There's so many things that you can do in just any one of the sports. And we're going to look at what we do in Chicago as an example for the 32 other cities that have major league teams: basketball, football, soccer, women's basketball, men's basketball, lacrosse even, some of the Olympic sports. So that's where we're going. The other area that you're going to see at the convention, we're going to focus on housing, not just affordable housing, but also who's managing housing that we live in, the Section 8 housing. And then what about this concept of Section 3, where we who live in public housing are supposed to be trained to create businesses and to do the services that are required to maintain the buildings that we live in? Why should other people outside of our developments, outside of our community, benefit financially? So we're going to talk about new markets in public housing, new markets in HUD, subsidized housing. And so you want to be there. If you live in public housing, you want to see how can you form your own little company. All of us are watching streaming services. We're trying to bring them to you so we can see who is producing content, who is promoting content, how are they getting paid, who are those who are script writers, and all of those people we don't see on camera. Who are some of the up-and-coming stars? How do we look at new media, print media? What about broadcast media? What about terrestrial radio versus digital radio? And what are we talking about in terms of owning some streaming services? We're going to look at all of that. New markets, new money markets in media. We're going to look at financial services, look at banking. What is it that the government requires them to do in terms of community reinvestment? Are we getting our share? You live in a community. Are you doing banking, or are you at a currency exchange, or are you at a payday loan? We're going to talk about new markets. That's our focus for the convention. New markets. That's where we want justice. And then, well, of course, we're going to look at the criminal justice system, how it is impacting us. Just the other day, another African-American male shot down on the street by a police officer. What does that mean? Once that police officer is now reassigned with pay, hasn't lost anything, but no longer on the street for a minute. Now, will he be charged? Will the state attorney charge the police officer with murder? Or will it be voluntary manslaughter? Or will it be no charge? What does the law in Michigan say about police-involved shootings? We need to know about that. You know, every year, this year in particular, we're electing legislators, state legislators. Who is a state legislator? Senator and state rep for Grand Rapids. What do they have to say about the issue of police-involved shootings? Should they have immunity from prosecution? You and I wouldn't have immunity from prosecution, nor do we have immunity from a civil rights suit that says we have to pay the victim or that we can lose our pension. Those are public policy matters. We're going to be talking about that at the PUSH convention. So you're wondering, should I come? Yes, you should come. If you lost a loved one to police-initiated violence, wherever you are in America, we're going to talk about what does that mean, and then what should we be doing. Whatever state you live in, the legislators have made policies. They've made policies, if you're a student, about student loan debt. They've made policies about state school tuition rates, whether they go up or down. They're making policies at the state level. We haven't even gotten to the United States Congress and the United States Senate. That's why you want to come to the convention. What we want to do is expose you to the information and to some actions that you and I must take. That's why we're hosting this convention. It's in Chicago. We're trying to make room and opportunity for black-owned businesses to participate in the new markets. And we're also trying to make sure that our young people who graduate from high school, we want to give you a path to success, path to a career. Some will go to college, some will go to trade school, some will go into a business. We want to help you do that. We're going to show you new markets, new opportunities, and we're going to talk about student loan debt. You all need to fight against that. I did not graduate with $100,000 or $200,000 in debt, and I have 4 degrees without debt. My generation, we didn't understand debt at that level, at the level that you're in. So we want to help you think through what should you do to eliminate student loan debt and hold these politicians, elected officials, accountable. And when you saw Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson nominated by the president, confirmed by the Senate, you do know that's a political appointment. She's eminently qualified. She's a legal scholar, but she couldn't get to the Supreme Court unless she was nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the United States Senate. That's a high honor, it's a lot of responsibility, and she will be perhaps the dissenting voice in many of the cases. That's what Ruth Bader Ginsburg was, that's what Justice Thurgood Marshall was, Justice Ruth Bader, Justice Thurgood Marshall. They held the line for those of us who are not behind those doors. Those are terms they serve for life.
The yeas are 53, the nays are 47, and this nomination is confirmed.
As history was written this week, students at the Mathematics, Civics, and Sciences Charter School in Philadelphia started revising their own plans for the future.
There's finally a black woman on the Supreme Court. It's amazing to see someone up here who looks like me and my friends, my family.
Once a star debater at Miami Palmetto Senior High School, students from her alma mater held a pep rally in her honor. They see Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's success as proof that they can do it too.
Whatever your passions are, you can go forth with them.
Seeing someone from the same sort of environment that I came from achieve one of the highest positions in this country, achieve something truly momentous and historical, it instills a lot of hope in me.
After watching Judge Jackson deliver her remarks in the White House Rose Garden, these 8th grade students at Columbus Prep School for Girls in Ohio rejoiced.
We've made it, all of us. Because she's a woman in power and she's a woman of color, that's inspiring.
You could see their faces light up. They were very happy.
A watershed moment that's inspiring so many to see just what's possible.
Judge Jackson has opened a lot of doors. People won't think that because there's a black woman on the Supreme Court now. There's no that you can't do it because you're a black girl, because this is a black woman who did it.
Congratulations, Judge Jackson!
Push Excel's goal is to inspire students to strive for excellence in education in spite of personal, family, and community challenges that they might experience. How do we do this? By advocating for educational policies that guarantee equal funding for all students without regard to race or economic standing. By engaging parents, students, and teachers in pursuing high-quality education and striving for educational excellence at every level. And by forging partnerships with community-based and public sector stakeholders in education. Now, Push Excel is a national model program with the purpose of connecting principals, parents, popular personalities, and students in a bond and to support students at every level on the educational ladder. Now, we want you to become a member of the Rainbow Push Coalition and Push Excel. Your annual membership can help us to change policies that impact students, colleges, and universities all around the country. So step up and sign up today. Membership is only $35, and if you're a student or a senior, $15. Just go to our website, rainbowpush.org, and push join to become a member or push donate to support the Push Excel program. You can also text the word Push Excel, that's PUSHEXCEL, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give us any amount that you feel comfortable giving or call us at 773-256-2775. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. And remember to keep hope alive.
Attention college students, if you are in need of financial assistance, Push for Excellence can help. The Orally Sanders Scholarship is a $2,500 award available to students of all majors with a minimum 2.5 GPA. For high school seniors, we offer the $5,000 Cyrilla McSween Scholarship and the $2,500 Airmark Trade Scholarship. Deadline to apply is April 15th. For more information, visit pushexcel.org.
Good morning, Rainbow Push family. It's always good to be with you. Of course, I'm Cameron Barnes, the National Youth Director here at Rainbow Push, and you've been following us over the years of what we've been doing with the Homeless Initiative here in Chicago. And we're very grateful to have had many coats that turn into sleeping bags donated to Rainbow Push. You've seen us out, Bishop Grant and myself, different partners with Rainbow Push, giving these coats away to the unhoused community in Chicago. And so we were very glad to host Lauren and Veronica of the Empowerment Plan out of Detroit. They came to Chicago to be with Rainbow Push and to further our partnerships. And Bishop Grant got a chance this week to sit down and interview them, and we want you to take a look at that.
This is Bishop Tavis Grant, the National Field Director for the Rainbow Push Coalition. And I want to thank you for being part of our International Saturday Morning Forum. You know, the work of Jesse Lewis Jackson is global, and one of the things that he has been working on for over 50 years is addressing poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity. Recently, we partnered with a phenomenal project out of Detroit, Michigan, called the Empowerment Plan, and we have two of their premier leaders here, Veronica Scott and Lauren Nell. They have what I call, and I'm trying to get them to buy into being a coat lover. It is one of the most phenomenal utilities that I've seen that addresses both the need for shelter, safety, and providing sustainability for those who are homeless, no matter where they are, literally in the world, no matter what the conditions are, the circumstances that they face. It is a means of saving lives and giving people an opportunity to transition out of the cycle of poverty. And so I'm just so thankful that we're able to navigate this partnership, because we're planning on sending any number of these coats to the Ukraine, and we'll be making you aware of that. But without further ado, we want to introduce Veronica Scott. Tell us, as the inventor, the creator of this brilliant idea, how it came about, and you know, the impact that it's had since you started.
Thank you. It's quite the intro. I really appreciate it. And Empowerment Plan began about 10 years ago as a class project of mine in college. But really, the organization is a deeply personal project for me. So both of my parents struggled with homelessness, poverty, addiction, mental health. And so just the way that people treated me and my family was if, my siblings and I were kind of worthless by extension, that because my parents struggled with these things, we were doomed to repeat the same life, no matter what happened. And so I really, starting the class project and designing the coat was just the beginning part of it. And then everything that started to happen after, we're focusing on employing and impacting not just one person, but generations that are trapped in this vicious cycle. That came from that place of creating an opportunity I wish my own family had been given.
So from a class project to now,
it's changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the class project, I was studying art. I was going to art school, so I have no background in nonprofits. I designed the coat as part of kind of this meeting that immediate need, where somebody, especially in Detroit, when you have thousands of people that are displaced and not enough shelters to support them, you get a lot of people that are waiting to get a bed, that are waiting and are trying to get in. And so how can we keep somebody warm and safe, even if they cannot get into a shelter, even if they choose not to? What can we do for that person? And how do we make it not something worn by multiple people before they got it? Not a hand-me-down like, oh, this is somebody's trash. How can we give them something that is new, that is built to last, that's specifically for that person? And so that is how it began. And I remember doing the first 10 coats, handing out on the streets of Detroit. Now we've done, upwards of, how many coats have we?
65,000 coats.
65,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what? When I think about homelessness, but in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Atlanta, some smaller cities like Jacksonville, Florida, have an influx of homelessness. Many people in the Midwest think that it's only akin to weather. Those on the West Coast akin to migration, but homelessness is global. And one of the things that was so interesting is the design of the coat. And it's not just a coat, it's more than a coat. How did you conceptualize this? Because this is not, for our viewers, they're seeing the coat on the screen, but the concept of the coat is, it's more, the reason why I'm a coat lover is because it's more than a coat.
It's many ways more than a coat. And the coat initially started, just so you know, it didn't start out that way. It wasn't like I designed something and it came out as beautiful as it is now. The reason it looks as good as it does now is that in the beginning I made many a terrible prototype. So I went through, it took me 80 hours to make the first one with my mother.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, it was the worst experience of her life. Just blood, sweat, and tears went into that home sewing machine. It was like a 25-pound coat. It was a mess. But you have to start somewhere. And I think that's like what I try to encourage people to do is like, I know you may look at this thing now and think, oh, how in the world did you get it there? It started very rough place. It took dozens of prototypes and it took a lot of amazing help along the way. And then also everybody that we've hired and all the individuals that use the coat, their feedback shapes what it is today. So it's no longer, like I have so very little to do with the design now because it's all about the people that are there every day making it. They know it a million times better than I do. And so do the people that we serve that are using it. So, even just seeing somebody in Chicago, we saw somebody yesterday in a wheelchair. And we found that a lot of individuals in wheelchairs really like the coat because the sleeping bag part of it, the part that detaches, is good when you're sitting in a wheelchair, that you can slide your feet in.
Wow.
And that they can use it in multiple different ways. And so that's the type of thing that gets me really excited is that community design, that public design, that it's not about one person.
Now, Lauren, when we first connected with you, it was a Super Bowl commercial that I saw that, Thanksgiving commercial that I saw that just captured and arrested me because I'm a channel surfer. And one of our partners is your partner, Ford Motor Company. And I was I was like, look at that truck, by the way. I was like, the truck. But then I saw the coat, I saw the factory. I mean, talk to our audience about, how many people work in the factory, how long it takes to make a coat, because that's significant to empowerment, right? I mean, your workforce is empowered by participating in the process, gaining a skill, and being able to come out of the cycle of poverty.
I think what's powerful about the coat is that it is produced by people who have experienced what the wearer is going to be using it for. They've been in those shoes. So there's a powerful full cycle event that happens there. But currently we have 27 employees on our production floor, 4 men, 23 women, and they are working full time. 60% of their time is paid to be producing our coat. And Veronica spoke about how it took 80 hours and weighed 25 pounds. Right now it's about 2 hours and it weighs under 5
From
pounds.
80 hours to 2 hours.
Yeah. 2 hours.
Dramatic
Time saving.
Dramatic improvement.
Traditional, methods of production is that it's piecework. Everybody makes a piece of it and it builds one coat. So 12 people on a line. Mm-hmm. And we produce between 30 to 40 coats every day.
But you have a partnership with Bombas that does socks and underwear, and there's so much you can put in the coat as a utility. Talk about that, because, again, what we were impressed with, and Reverend Jackson was impressed with, is that it provided so much more. During COVID, here in Chicago, tent cities, and people live under viaducts and bridges and in some of the most obscure places, and quite honestly, they are vulnerable to the elements and to everything else, but this coat has so much to offer. Talk about the partnership with Bombas and then all of the other things that you can put in this coat to make it a means of survival and sustainability.
What's great is that the coat provides not just a coat when you hand it to somebody, but it's a window or a door that is being opened to provide further services. So it's a coat and it's a sleeping bag and it's a bag you can carry with you. But we include socks that are provided by Bombas. They have a very generous philanthropy program. We also will partner with organizations such as in Detroit, there's a mitten program, and we'll include mittens in the pockets. We've had middle school children and elementary school children make wellness kits that have a water bottle and toothbrush and other things. So the coat allows you to put more things in it, so when you're handing it to somebody, it's more than just a coat. And I even say it's more than just a sleeping bag. And that opportunity for service allows somebody maybe that window to get more connection and trust be built with the service providers in their community, and maybe move them into a shelter or something beyond.
And just to add on to that too, we've also done coats that have important information in it per the city's request. So they have numbers if somebody needs an immediate assistance or needs to find a shelter bed, they have the actual numbers in the coat itself.
Now I think you have 7,500 on a waiting list?
Yes. 7,500 coats have been requested and are on a waiting list right now. Since COVID, we have seen just a dramatic increase in communities needing these coats to get into them. Shelters reduced the amount of people they were able to hold due to COVID, and lots of people lost their jobs. Lots of things happen, and it's not just people who are unhoused. There happens all the time in Detroit. People are in houses that don't have gas or heat. People are in their cars. They might be in a nighttime shelter that kicks them out during the day, and it's still very cold during the day. So that coat is more than just for somebody who is typically, as you would imagine, being unhoused.
Veronica, what have we learned about this? Because this is a very unique niche that the empowerment plan has, right? This is not, there are not 7 different types of coats, and this is a unique item here. What have we learned in terms of servicing this population, how it has grown, okay, and what are the other things? Maybe you need another. Class project to come up with the name.
Class project. Go back to school, Veronica. Get there.
But what have we? Because in our experience in the work with Reverend Jackson, we learned how capacity building. We learned the power of networking. We learned the human aspect of this, which is how people can take an item like this and it give them a sense of ownership and a sense of, no pun intended, empowerment in terms of I can do something to help myself. What have you and your team learned that could help other service providers kind of, overcome hurdles and opportunities and be able to make the best of the resources they make available?
I feel like we've learned so much over the last decade, and it is amazing to me that when I started an empowerment plan, the feedback that I got was the coat is nice, but you're never going to get somebody that is homeless to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, let alone a coat. That was a direct quote from a board member. that was just like surprising to me, that was the response, that this is not going to work, not because of the code itself, but for who we wanted to hire. So the first thing, proving them wrong, was very exciting, that if my parents could be in that position, there are many other amazing, talented individuals that are trapped in this cycle and need an opportunity. So understanding that the coat was part of that stepping stone. We've hired many people. We have a couple people on our team that actually slept in the coat before coming to work for us.
Wow.
And so that's a very powerful, wild moment for us to see that the coat was something that they either used in the shelter, they were sleeping in their car, they were, in a place that had no heat and electricity. And that was their touch point with a case manager, with a team that started them on that pathway. And that we couldn't have employed them then, but we can employ them now. And so we see this as all kind of like a part of a stepping stone in a greater, amazing network of support. So when we work with people, we hire them directly from shelters and housing programs and all sorts of amazing other nonprofits in the city. They work with us for about 2 years before going on into other jobs.
Well, it's got to make you feel good. Recently Reverend Jackson met with the ambassador from Ukraine, and we were just overwhelmed with the opportunity to respond to this human crisis. And our first project is sending these coats to the Ukraine. How does it make you feel to be a part of an international effort where your class project now is going to international?
I feel like the class project is so long ago, and it's just an amazing opportunity. Wherever that need is, we are happy to be there to help meet it. And we're so grateful for your partnership to help make that possible, because I think we can't just do that on our own. We can't exist in a silo. We need amazing partners like Rainbow Push and other incredible entities to do the work. We need to work with all these fantastic organizations to really move the needle and have an impact. So it's really exciting.
Well, I want to encourage our audience to become a coat lover. You can go to rainbowpush.org and get more information about this incredible partnership. As we strive to keep hope alive, we are Rainbow Push.
Of course, that was a great interview between Bishop Grant, Lauren, and Veronica, of course. We were able to, after that interview, go out into the field. We showed them some of the different places, the tent cities here in Chicago that we've serviced many times before. You've seen us doing it. Well, they joined us to go out as the founders and as the creators of this coat. They joined us as we went around. Reverend Jackson was with us, and we passed out even more coats in the greater Chicagoland area. We want you, of course, to be a part of our homeless initiative here at Rainbow Push. We're expanding these partnerships, we're expanding these sponsorships, and we want you, of course, to take part in what we're doing. You can join us at our international convention. It's going to take place here in Chicago, June the 18th through the 22nd. Of course, you can always go to www.rainbowpush.org for more information on that. But more importantly, go on www.rainbowpush.org and take out your membership before you get to the convention. When you get to the convention, we want you to already be a member. And certainly always remember, you can keep hope alive.
Greetings, everyone. This is Dr. Joseph Bryant Jr., the Executive Director of the Rainbow Push Coalition, West Coast, Silicon Valley, Bay Area, and Push Tech programs under the amazing leadership of our visionary, Reverend Jesse Lewis Jackson. We are so excited about the 7th annual Push Tech Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Summit. It is going to be a conference like no other. May 18th and 19th, virtually, coming to you in your home, in your office, on your smart device, on your laptop. We want to engage you in a historical, powerful, and inspirational experience that's going to rock your world, touch your life, and blow your mind at the same time. We are so grateful to be able to produce this amazing event celebrating the power of technology coming out of the pandemic, So many evolutions have occurred. Doors have been opened, and all types of very exciting nuances in the tech space have become normative to us and are going to take us to another level. And the Push Tech Conference this year is going to present all of those things to you. You need to register because all of the goods and gadgets, all of the wonderful virtual and even some of the metaverse experiences that you will be able to have, you will only be able to engage if you register. You're going to be able to walk into our conference literally from your seat as we expand our opportunities in technology to engage you in real time right where you are. Welcome to the metaverse, everyone. And this year, Push Tech is on the cutting edge. You want to register today for this conference, May 18th and 19th. We, of course, are going to celebrate the amazing leadership of Reverend Jackson, along with several of our partners that have really been on the front lines of this work. We are going to celebrate Roy Austin and the Civil Rights Division of Facebook Meta that has done a tremendous job in developing pipelines and opportunities to expand not only what Meta Facebook is doing, but really has taken it upon themselves to be a trendsetter in diversity and inclusion as it pertains to historical civil rights organizations. And you're going to hear from several of those that all will be celebrating Roy and his team's leadership in that space. We're going to celebrate the amazing work of Regina Jackson from the East Oakland Youth Community Development Center. They have been a partner with us for nearly 3 decades, and she's recently retired, and everyone is honoring her and praising her. And we're going to get right in line with this phenomenal trailblazer who opened so many doors for underprivileged and inner city youth to have opportunities, not only in technology, but for college and education and career and in their future. We're going to celebrate her. We're going to celebrate Denise Miles of Wells Fargo, a longtime partner with us who has done numerous workshops, trainings, has brought things to our 1,000 Churches platform. She has allowed us to learn about financial literacy and being able to help us, assist us with the economic side of our development as a coalition. And now she's taken a lead role in technology and she's killing it, as they say. We're going to recognize Denise Miles. And then a very special recognition for Sarah Kuntz. From the very first meeting Reverend Jackson called in Silicon Valley, she was the one who gathered the unicorns, the new evolving technology leaders, the entrepreneurs. Sarah brought them together in the Bay Area and allowed Reverend Jackson to pour that vision into them. And they have since then all taken off and become major players in the tech space because of Sarah. Not only did she become that spark for us, she supported and spoken at every event, and she's a female entrepreneur and she has her own fund. She's the founder of Clio Capital, doing an amazing work. We're going to honor these folks and many others. We're going to have messaging from, of course, Angela Rye and Congresswoman Barbara Lee. We're going to be hearing about the fan-controlled football league that has just launched. We're going to learn about NFTs. We're going to learn about NIL, name, image, and likeness. We're going to have a huge presentation on cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, so many things that you are hearing buzzwords about, but you need to hear from the Push Tech Conference what this means to our economy, what this means to minority business, what this means for opportunities for your investments and your future and your finances and your children. We're going to continue to talk obviously about diversity and equity and inclusion in every realm as we expand into new markets and do more procurement and open more doors for more people to engage in the cycle of economic stability and strength. Sign up today, register today. Do not miss this year's 7th annual Push Tech Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Summit, May 18th and 19th. We're going to have special trainings, even for college students looking for jobs, members of the faith community that still need to connect with technology. We've got you covered. Sign up today. Don't miss a moment of it. Make sure you register so you can get all the benefits, and we look forward to seeing you at Push Tech this year.
Welcome to this week's Due Process. I'm Todd Yeary. We begin this week by returning to Mason, Tennessee, the site of a fight between the state comptroller, Jason Mumpower, and Mason City government officials, including Mayor Emmett Gooden and Vice Mayor Virginia Rivers. Recently, an emergency hearing was held to determine whether or not the comptroller has the legal authority to take over the town's finances. The comptroller initiated the steps after the town's leadership and residents refused to surrender the town charter at the request of Mr. Mumpower. The state alleges that city officials have mismanaged the town's finances, owing significant dollars to a restricted account that had been used to fund local operations by prior town administrators. Mumpower indicated that his outreach to the town's constituents were within his purview, since he represents the residents of the town, as do the town officials. After allegations of racial discrimination and bias, lawyers for the comptroller's office argued that the plan for Mason is, quote, non-discriminatory, tailored to the town's needs, and within the comptroller's authority, end quote. Lawyers for the town of Mason have argued that the comptroller lacks the authority to take day-to-day control of Mason. They also argue that the problems asserted by the comptroller do not justify taking over the town's finances contrary to state law. After the emergency hearing, Chancellor Ann Martin requested legal briefs from the two sides that laid out the issues and recommended solutions. The briefs have been filed and are under consideration. As of the recording of this program, Chancellor Martin has yet to make a decision. We will continue to monitor the legal proceedings about the future and the autonomy of the town of Mason. The ongoing battle for economic justice for black farmers continues as several lawsuits continue to make their way through the federal courts. The lawsuits were filed by white farmers who argued that the debt relief for black farmers as part of the American Rescue Plan is really reverse discrimination. The program under the American Rescue Plan was intended to address decades of racially based policies that disadvantaged black farmers, including denial of federal benefits to black farmers after the civil rights laws of the 1960s. Many have argued that the reluctance and outright resistance to enforcing civil rights laws at the local level helped to facilitate the harm done to black farmers in spite of federal legislation. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, which was formed during the Civil War, has established and overseen a number of policies tied to land benefits. Many of the black farmers who advocated for racial justice were penalized when applying for credit because of their civic engagement. The decline in the black farmer population has been steady, with significant declines noted between 1935 and 1959. The harm done by Department of Agriculture policies was spotlighted in a class action lawsuit that was settled in 1999. The Pickford case was a significant civil rights settlement, but it only examined complaints dating back to the early 1980s. Black farmers that had experienced severe debt and had been driven from their land before the 1980s received nothing for the harm done by the biased policies of the department. The harm included denials of loans that data indicated were granted to white farmers at significantly disparate terms that were favorable to them. Currently, there are 13 separate cases that are working their way through the courts, and Rainbow Push Coalition will be monitoring all of these cases and advocating for fair, equitable, and just resolutions to the disparate treatment of black farmers. As part of the litigation process, a group of black farmers has been granted standing to defend the debt relief program under the American Rescue Plan after the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit reversed a district court ruling that had denied them the right to intervene in the Miller versus Vilsack lawsuit. The fight is over Congress's attempts to correct historic wrongs in racial discrimination in the administration of loan programs through the provisions in the American Rescue Plan Act, which provided $4 billion of debt relief to black farmers. Before the funds could be dispersed, white farmers from Texas sued the Department of Agriculture to block the disbursement, alleging that the loan forgiveness violates the U.S. Constitution. The district court issued a preliminary injunction that has temporarily stopped the program, putting pressure on many black farmers, causing many of them to file for bankruptcy. The threat to black farmers and black-owned farmland is significant without the relief of loan forgiveness. By ensuring that black farmers can intervene in the pending litigation, statistical evidence and other information can be provided as evidence in the legal proceedings and will help justify the program's constitutionality. Many have argued that the case is about the future of black farming in America. Black farmers once owned 14% of all farms. Today, they own barely more than 1%. Some have argued that this is due to governmental indifference and overt discrimination that continues to exact dangerous and harmful effects on the survival of black farms and black farmers nationally. As the debate rages about the propriety and usefulness of the death penalty, a judge in South Carolina has allowed a lawsuit brought by 4 death row inmates challenging the state's execution methods to move forward. The request asks that the court monitor and examine state officials' claims that they are unable to secure the drugs necessary to carry out lethal injection executions. The inability to secure the drugs leaves only the electric chair and a firing squad as the only options for capital punishment. While attorneys for the inmates have advanced nearly all available appeals, they continue to argue that dying by firing squad or electrocution would be unusually cruel and violate a state ban on cruel, corporal, and unusual punishments. The judge's decision has come a week after the state Supreme Court scheduled the execution of Richard Bernard Moore for April 29th. Moore has spent more than 2 decades on death row after being convicted of the killing of a convenience store clerk in Spartanburg in 1999. The state has argued that neither electrocution or the firing squad are cruel or unusual forms of punishment, referencing the use of both methods across the country. In the meantime, Mr. Moore's lawyers have asked the state Supreme Court to stop the execution. While there is pending litigation, the court has yet to rule on this request. South Carolina is one of 8 states that still uses the electric chair, and 4 states allowing a firing squad. If Mr. Moore is put to death, it will be the first execution since 2011. We will continue to fight for the prohibition of the death penalty as part of our ongoing civil rights and social justice work across the country. Police reform returns to the public spotlight as the nation responds to the killing of a Congolese immigrant by a police officer in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Patrick Lyoya was killed after a struggle during a traffic stop last week. Mr. Lyoya was stopped on the morning of April 4th because of problems with his car tags. As Mr. Lyoya stepped out of his car, he appeared confused as the officer commanded him to get back in the car. After being asked whether he speaks English, Mr. Lyoya responded that he did, asking what he had done wrong. After a brief conversation about Mr. Lyoya's driver's license, the officer grabbed Mr. Lyoya, who began to pull away and to run. After a foot pursuit, body camera footage seems to show Mr. Lyoya grasping for the taser that is in the officer's hand. During the struggle, the officer's body-worn camera stopped filming. Grand Rapids Chief of Police Eric Winstrom stated that pressure was applied to the camera to cause it to turn off during the struggle. However, it was not clear what the source of the pressure may have been or whether it was intentional. Mr. Lyoya's death is the latest in a number of incidents that have continued to stress relationships between the Grand Rapids community and the police department. Recent encounters between police and community members include the handcuffing of an 11-year-old girl at gunpoint when officers were searching for a middle-aged woman wanted for stabbing. There was no disciplining of officers in that case. In another incident, Grand Rapids police officers held 5 teenagers at gunpoint though the teenagers were innocent. Between 2016 and 2021, more than 400 drivers and passengers have been killed by police officers, even though the drivers nor the passengers were wielding a gun or a knife, nor were they being sought for having committed a violent crime. The escalation of interactions between police and community members after stops for common traffic violations continues to be an area of concern when determining the constitutionality of police encounters. These incidents only add to our concern that has been shared with the UN High Commission on Human Rights by the Rainbow Push Coalition in its submission to the Commission in December 2020. Clearly, there's more work to be done, and the Rainbow Push Coalition will continue to join our national and international human rights partners in doing this critically important work. Stay tuned. This weekend marks the high and holy observances of Passover and Easter. As people of faith gather in solemn assembly, let us recommit ourselves to the high principles of the world's great religions. Regardless of your religious affiliation, we are all invited and called to bring the best of who we are to the collective enterprise of justice and peace. May we look within and muster the courage to speak truth to power in these critical days, because what we do or fail to do will have much influence on our collective ability to thrive and live in peace. Have a blessed Passover and Easter holiday, and as always, keep hope alive. That is this week's Due Process. I'm Todd Yeary.
Okay, that's all that we have for you today. We hope the information that we shared was informative and inspirational and informational. We want you to use this information to keep hope alive. We want you to use this information to keep pushing, to keep uniting, to keep serving humanity. Listen, if you have not already done so and you're on our social media platforms, please like, please share, and subscribe. We also want to invite all of you to become members of PUSH. You can do that by joining at www.rainbowpush.org or texting the word PUSH to 41444. Again, I thank you for the opportunity for me to serve and to share with you in this capacity. And until next time, I'm Tim Lee.
We're excited to get more people involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in impacting public policies, if you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, you can become a policymaker by becoming a member of Rainbow Push right now. For an annual membership of $35, or if you're a student or senior, $15, you can help us make a difference in the lives of millions. How do you become a member? Visit our website at rainbowpush.org and press join. Or maybe you'd like to support us. You can text the word PUSH, that's PUSH, to 41444 on your cell phone, and you can give any amount you feel comfortable giving. You can also call us at 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you.